Demonstrators on the Georgian border are calling Russians to return home as thousands flee their country following Putin's mobilization order.
Europeans rally on International Safe Abortion Day as fears grow access will be under threat in Italy by the far-right party expected to form government. More than 2 million residents in Florida are left with no power as Hurricane Ian makes landfall, one of the most powerful storms ever recorded in the US.
Russian deserters, you are not welcome. As the mass exodus of Russian citizens across the border into Georgia continues, this is just one of the messages protesters in Larcy had for their fleeing neighbours on Wednesday. Following President Vladimir Putin's partial mobilisation order last week, these demonstrators say they want the borders sealed.
Georgia is occupied by Russia in the same way that part of Ukraine is still occupied by Russia. That's why they are not welcome here as friends or brothers. If they want to change something in their country, if they disagree, and if they are against the war and mobilization, they must address these problems at home.
Finland also reported a record number of Russian arrivals last weekend. This comes as authorities in Helsinki announced on September 23rd that they were planning to significantly restrict the entry of Russian citizens and would finalise a decision in the coming days.
Here in Vaalimaa, the traffic has been increasing since last Wednesday when Russia announced partial mobilizations in the country. We are currently up to 40% in traffic.
Meanwhile, on the border between Russia and Kazakhstan, crowds of people, mostly men, are also looking to escape their fate on the battlefield in Ukraine. Many have filed for residency in the city of Oral and are trying to find temporary accommodation around the city. On Tuesday, Kazakhstan's authorities said 98,000 Russians had arrived.
Italians marched through Rome, Milan and other cities to protect access to abortion, which many fear will be under threat by a far-right party expected to form the next government. Giorgia Meloni has already proved that she doesn't respect the fundamental rights concerning all of us, this demonstrator says. That is the protection of us as human beings, our freedom. In some ways, it is right to worry about her, but maybe Meloni will spur us on to take to the streets even more to fight for our rights. In France, hundreds attend demonstrations in Paris, Lyon and Toulouse, showing solidarity at a time when the right to an abortion is being called into question in several European countries. In Hungary, they rally outside Budapest Parliament against a change in abortion rules made earlier this month. Under the law amended by Conservative Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government, pregnant women now must submit evidence from their healthcare provider of a definitive sign of life. Julia Sprons from the Peyton Association says it is compulsory to listen to the heartbeat of the baby or watch the ultrasound. We think this is inhumane. The protesters marched from Parliament to the Interior Ministry, which drew up the reforms. The government gave no reason for the recent change and denied it would amount to a tightening of the rules.
Austria will resume checks at its border with Slovakia on Thursday, following a similar decision by the Czech Republic. They want to prevent the entry of illegal migrants.
We can see that the crisis itself has now also reached the Federal Republic of Germany, hence the measures taken by the German side towards the Czech Republic. From there, like a domino effect, the measures of the Czech Republic towards Slovakia, and therefore now our measures from Austria towards the Slovakian border, in order not to favour a circumvention here.
In scenes last seen during the Syrian refugee crisis back in 2015, Austria does not want to become the alternative route for human smugglers.
Since the beginning of the year, we have registered and investigated 140 crimes and are prosecuting 125 smugglers. These are simply numbers that have never been here historically. Compare this year with the migration wave in 2015. We have physically seized 12,000 illegal migrants this year, 4 times more than in 2015.
The Czech Republic has seen a significant increase in migrants from India. However, the bulk of the new arrivals come from the Middle East.
Because my country have war. about that. It's so bad. It's hard it's living not easy there. It's so hard.
With a possible domino effect at borders of neighboring countries, this new migration wave could leave the Schengen Treaty a dead letter in the entire region. Schengen is faltering at the center of Europe yet again.
Protests have broken out in the Czech capital Prague over the government's response to the energy crisis. The demonstration was held by the group, the Czech Republic, in the first place. It's calling for the withdrawal from NATO to maintain military neutrality and opposes weapons being sent to Ukraine. It's the country's second protest of its kind in a month. American rapper Coolio has died at the age of 59. He started making music in the 1980s, but cemented his place in hip-hop history when he recorded Gangsta's Paradise in 1995. He won a Grammy for the hit. Coolio's manager told US media the artist was found unresponsive on the bathroom floor of a friend's house in Los Angeles. The cause of his death has not yet been revealed. A new report has unveiled systemic sexual and physical abuse in France's porn industry. During 6 months of research, authors heard from more than 50 people involved in the industry, women's rights activists, and alleged victims. The report presented to French Parliament also makes several recommendations to prevent minors from accessing internet sites that broadcast pornography. Monster Hurricane Ian has pounded the southern US coast, causing catastrophic flooding from destructive storm surges. It made landfall Wednesday afternoon with maximum sustained winds of up to 241 kilometres near the city of Fort Myers. US border control is now looking for up to 23 migrants missing after their ship sunk. So far, more than 2 million US residents are without power. It comes a day after the hurricane barreled through Cuba, killing 2 people and shattering the country's electricity grid. Roadways have become waterways in the city of Naples in Florida as the eye wall of the hurricane made landfall. Hours later, its top sustained winds had dropped to 170 kilometres, making it a Category 2. It's expected to weaken further to a tropical storm as it marches inland. For the past 3 years, Italian hospitals, like many around the world, have been thrown into disarray coping with the COVID-19 emergency. But now a new crisis is putting additional strain on the national health system. As energy prices soar around Europe, families and businesses are not the only ones feeling the pinch. The public sector and hospitals are too.
We are a public institution at the service of citizens. Eventually we must pay the bills, and at the same time we definitely can't reduce our services, but our duty is to try to contain our energy consumption as much as possible.
The Cardarelli Hospital in Naples is the largest in the country's south. Just 2 weeks ago it received an energy bill of 11.5 million euros. Double the previous bill of 5.6 million. And for national hospitals and health agencies, the extra costs for energy this year will increase to 1.5 billion euros.
Unlike families or private companies, hospitals cannot just decide to limit their needs or curb their activities. Assistance for patients must be constant, as does their energy consumption, and some of them have found alternative ways to get the power supply they need.
At this Naples hospital, 4,500 square metres of solar panels produce enough energy to allow staff to face the current crisis with greater confidence.
Overall, health facilities are by definition energy and gas consuming. We're talking about high levels of electrical energy and gas consumption. Therefore, we need to equip ourselves with systems and procedures so we can reduce energy consumption.
While it might feel like nothing can be done about the rising costs of energy, experts say the national health system in Italy could work more efficiently towards a greener transition. And it could start with very simple things, like switching lights off when exiting a room.